If you regularly watch YouTube, over the past few years, you're very likely to have run into videos about actress Rachel Zegler, and chances are, they probably weren't positive. That's because Zegler has become something of a symbol, not only for everything that's wrong with Hollywood these days, but also for the delusional, self-entitled behavior that's often associated with Gen Z in general. And in something of a perfect storm of negativity, Zegler also happens to be the lead star in Disney's upcoming live-action remake of Snow White, updated for modern audiences. Now, to be fair, no matter who was cast as the lead in Disney's Snow White movie, its production has been an absolute disaster from day one, with the film being shot and then reshot multiple times, and with its budget spiraling out of control. But after already spending at least $300 million on Snow White, if Disney were hoping to make any of their money back on it, Rachel Zegler herself has been nothing short of a full-blown PR nightmare, personally putting Disney at risk of an even bigger box office failure than they were already facing. Between Zegler's comments about updating the Snow White character to be more of a feminist,
she's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be,
her considering the prince in Snow White to be a stalker,
weird,
not liking the original Snow White movie,
I think I watched it once and then I never picked it up again,
feeling she needs to be paid more money for starring in the movie.
If I'm gonna stand there 18 hours in press of an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
Attacking people that don't agree with her politics, or in some cases attempting to cancel them, Rachel Zegler has pretty much taken the crown for Hollywood's most unlikable celebrity. And no matter how hard Disney and her PR people have worked to mitigate the damage, Zegler still always finds a way to keep annoying potential ticket buyers at every turn, making her very difficult to market to viewers in pretty much every demographic. That's at least partially why the current Snow White trailer has been ratioed with over 1 million dislikes. And while I'm sure everything that I've said until now may not be news to some of you, in this video, I actually have some brand new information for you that's not being reported on anywhere else. It's a story that has pretty much been buried by the mainstream media, but I guarantee that if you go down this rabbit hole with me, you'll understand exactly why it's significant. And if you like these type of exclusive entertainment news stories, please make sure to like and subscribe so that you're always notified when there's new developments. One of my constant criticisms of Rachel Zegler is not just her irritating behavior, because she's certainly not the only Hollywood star guilty of being annoying these days. It's the fact that her overly obnoxious attitude really isn't backed by any type of tangible achievements. For example, as insufferable as Mark Hamill and Whoopi Goldberg have become recently, at some point in their careers, however long ago, they did actually accomplish something in the field of entertainment. Did the success go to their head? Sure. Have they become bitter, grumpy, and overly political? Absolutely. Have they tarnished their own legacy? Yes, to an extent. But even so, Hamill and Goldberg still have past iconic roles that many people still find themselves revisiting until this very day. But what does Rachel Zegler have? Honestly, to date, I would say that she really doesn't have any major success as an actress. But you wouldn't know that from the legacy media, who from day one have been desperately trying to make Rachel Zegler a thing. It all started when Steven Spielberg discovered Zegler in 2018, and then cast her in his remake of West Side Story, after which the mainstream media couldn't seem to get enough of her, for some reason. And while to this day, they're always happy to remind you that Zegler had won a Golden Globe for her role in Spielberg's West Side Story, what they don't regularly acknowledge is that West Side Story was considered a rare giant flop for Spielberg after failing to connect with audiences, and Zegler in a leading role certainly didn't move the needle on that one. In addition, if you look at Rachel Zegler's box office track record after West Side Story, you'll see that to date, Zegler has never really been a box office draw. While she may have only had a supporting role in Shazam 2, that movie was considered a box office flop as well. Y2K was a movie where Zegler did have a key role, and it flopped so badly at the box office that it wasn't even able to recoup a third of its modest $15 million budget. I guess what I'm saying here is that Rachel Zegler is not a proven entity, and her presence on a movie doesn't seem to translate into profit in any way, shape, or form, making her constant arrogance all the more baffling. And I know what some of you may be thinking. Wasn't Rachel Zegler's Hunger Games prequel from 2023 considered a hit? Didn't that movie prove that Zegler was a real draw for moviegoers? Now, if you were to listen to the legacy media, you would think that Zegler's Hunger Game movie was indeed a real success. But was it really? According to reports, the movie had a production budget of $100 million and a worldwide box office take of $349 million. On the surface, that would seemingly confirm that it was profitable, but let's take a closer look. First of all, for those who are unaware, since movie ticket sales are split between theaters, distributors, and studios, a movie needs to make around 2.5 times its overall budget in ticket sales just to break even, and on the surface, that would mean that Zegler's Hunger Games prequel made about $100 million in profit. But there's only one problem. Most legacy media outlets have failed to mention one thing. Zegler's Hunger Games had an additional marketing budget of at least $80 million, if not more. That means that its overall budget was actually at least $180 million, and not the reported $100 million. Therefore, the movie actually needed to make $450 million just to break even, which it didn't, so not only was the Zegler-led Hunger Games prequel movie not profitable for Lionsgate, the studio that produced it, it was actually another Zegler-led box office flop, and a very significant one at that. As the Hunger Games is an established IP, even with its already built-in audience, Zegler wasn't able to attract enough moviegoers to make a profit. And given that Lionsgate had initially expected Zegler's Hunger Games prequel to make between $500 million to $1 billion at the worldwide box office, it's very clear that they know that it's a failure. And here's where the story takes another interesting turn. Zegler's Hunger Games prequel movie had ended on something of a cliffhanger, seemingly setting up a direct sequel that would once again feature Rachel Zegler in the same lead role, but due to its lack of success, that sequel has been shelved. And the reason that nobody is talking about it is because it's been done very quietly, very discreetly, and very cleverly. You see, a sequel to the Zegler-led Hunger Games prequel has been announced, but now it seems that there will be a time jump of 40 years, leaving Zegler's character out of the fold, or at least her version of it. And while the official reasoning behind this time jump is that Hunger Games author Suzanne Collins' upcoming book takes place later on in the Hunger Games timeline, and that Lionsgate wants to stay true to Collins' source material, the actual truth is that at this point, Lionsgate and Hunger Games author Suzanne Collins have a symbiotic business partnership, which is why in June 2024, Lionsgate on their official website issued a press release geared towards investors, letting them know that while Suzanne Collins is writing her next Hunger Games book, they're already working together with her to adapt it for the screen. Likely because Collins already has a movie royalty and profit-sharing deal with them in place. Or to put it more simply, Suzanne Collins isn't working in a creative vacuum anymore, like she did with the original Hunger Games book. Instead, Collins and Lionsgate want to make a profitable movie that they will both make money on, and when Hunger Games Ballad of the Songbirds and Snakes, starring Rachel Zegler, lost money, it was likely jointly decided to pivot to a later timeline. That way, Collins and Lionsgate together could do something of a soft reboot without ever acknowledging the failure of the Zegler-led prequel or the cancellation of Zegler's second movie. My main point here is that I guarantee if Zegler's Hunger Games movie would have made any real profit for Collins and Lionsgate, she would have gotten that sequel that was initially set up for her, but it didn't, so she won't. Now I know some of you may be thinking, why would a Hollywood studio like Lionsgate, along with best-selling author Suzanne Collins, go to such great lengths to try and cover up this Hunger Games flop and Rachel Zegler's quiet dismissal from the franchise? Well, these days, most Hollywood studios don't want to actually admit their failures, even when they're obvious, but in this specific case, there seems to be an additional reason. You see, if you go to Lionsgate's website, they have a whole section which they've dedicated to showcase their DEI initiatives, also known as diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I can only assume that Lionsgate is probably thinking, how would it look if a company that keeps championing diverse casting would then fire a diverse leading actress from one of their biggest franchises? And if we zoom out, it's pretty much the same reason the mainstream media keeps protecting Zegler too. Now, just to be clear, I myself have never had an issue with diverse casting in and of itself, but somebody being diverse doesn't mean they're actually a good organic fit for a role or even a good person. So Hollywood can keep showering Rachel Zegler with praise and awards all they want, but at the end of the day, if her behavior keeps alienating paying customers, I can't see her becoming a profitable movie star. And with Disney's Snow White right around the corner, the stakes couldn't be higher for Zegler, because if that movie doesn't make at least $1 billion at the worldwide box office, I suspect that Zegler will be offered significantly less major roles moving forward, if at all. But if you want to keep getting more accurate entertainment news and reviews before anyone else, make sure to like and subscribe so that I could continue to keep you in the loop. Thanks for watching, my friends. Thank you, and good day.
I am such an awesome guy. I make so many videos. But